In the heart of the 12th century, a world torn apart by conflict, a name echoed across deserts and mountains, whispered with reverence in mosques and with respect in the camps of his foes. This is the story of Saladin, the Lion of Islam. Born in Tikrit in modern-day Iraq, Salah ad-Din Yusuf Ibn Ayyub was not born into royalty. He was the son of a Kurdish military commander, raised not in a palace, but in the bustling, scholarly cities of Damascus and Baalbek. From his youth, he was instilled with a deep Islamic faith, a love for knowledge, and the quiet humility of a true leader. He preferred studying the Quran over the art of war, yet destiny had a different path forged for him. His journey began under the tutelage of Nur al-Din Zangi, the powerful ruler of Syria. Sent to Egypt on a military expedition, the young Saladin quickly proved his genius. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a strategist, a diplomat, and a visionary. Against all odds, he outmaneuvered his rivals, secured control of Egypt, and abolished the Fatimid Caliphate, bringing the region back under the Sunni Abbasid Caliphate's spiritual authority. This was more than a power grab. It was the first crucial step in his grand vision, to unite the fractured Muslim world against the crusader states that had occupied the Holy Land for nearly a century. With Egypt as his base, Saladin turned his sights to Syria. Through a masterful blend of military pressure and brilliant diplomacy, he unified the lands from the Nile to the Tigris under his banner, creating the Ayyubids. He was no longer just a general. He was the Sultan, the one man who could finally heal the divisions that had plagued the Islamic world. His mission was clear. His gaze was fixed on one city, a city holy to three faiths: Jerusalem. For years, the Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem had been a thorn in the side of the Muslim world. A fragile truce held, but it was constantly broken by rogue Crusader lords. The final provocation came from Reynold of Chatillon, who attacked a peaceful Muslim caravan, breaking a solemn treaty. For Saladin, this was an unforgivable offense. The time for diplomacy was over. The time for war had come. In the summer of 1187, Saladin gathered the largest Muslim army seen in generations. He lured the Crusader forces, led by King Guy of Lusignan, away from their water sources, and into the arid plains, near the Horns of Hattin. It was a strategic masterpiece. Under the blistering sun, tormented by thirst and harassed by Saladin's archers, the mighty Crusader army was exhausted before the battle even began. On July 4 TH, Saladin gave the order to attack. The result was a devastating, decisive victory. The Crusader army was annihilated, its king captured, and the path to Jerusalem lay wide open. The infamous Reynold of Chatillon, who had caused so much suffering, faced Saladin's personal justice. Just 3 months later, Saladin stood before the walls of Jerusalem. The city had been in Crusader hands for 88 years, since a brutal conquest that saw its streets run red with blood. The defenders now feared a similar fate. But Saladin was not a man driven by revenge. He offered generous terms of surrender. When the city's defenders refused, Ebasiadit, but with minimal bloodshed. Finally, they could. On October 2nd, 1187, Saladin entered Jerusalem. What happened next would cement his legend forever. There was no massacre. There was no plunder. He honored his word. He allowed Christian inhabitants to ransom their freedom for a small price, and he even paid the ransom for thousands of the poor himself, allowing them to leave with their possessions. He protected the city's holy sites, including the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. He demonstrated a magnanimity and mercy that stood in stark contrast to the city's conquest by the First Crusade. He had not just recaptured a city, he had restored honor to the conflict. The fall of Jerusalem sent shockwaves through Europe, igniting the Third Crusade. The continent's most powerful monarchs answered the call, led by the formidable King of England, Richard the Lion. What followed was a clash of titans, a legendary rivalry between two of history's greatest military commanders. For 2 years, Saladin and Richard battled along the coast of the Levant. They fought fiercely at Acre and Arsif, each earning the other's respect. But their rivalry was defined as much by chivalry as it was by combat. When Richard fell ill with a fever, Saladin sent him fresh fruit and snow from the mountains to cool his drink. When Richard's horse was killed in battle, Saladin sent him to fresh mounts, declaring that such a great king should not have to fight on foot. These were not the actions of a ruthless warlord, but of a noble adversary who understood the codes of honor, even with his sworn enemy. In the end, neither could achieve a final victory. Richard, unable to take Jerusalem, and Saladin, exhausted from years of war, agreed to a truce. The Treaty of Ramla in 1192 left Jerusalem in Muslim hands, but guaranteed unarmed Christian pilgrims safe access to their holy sites. It was a pragmatic peace, a testament to the mutual respect these two great warriors had forged in the crucible of war. Less than a year after the treaty, in March of 1193, Saladin fell ill and passed away in his beloved Damascus. When his treasury was opened, his aides were stunned. The most powerful man in the Muslim world had left behind almost no personal wealth. He had given it all away to his subjects, to the poor, and to charitable causes. He died as he had lived, a humble servant of his faith and his people. Saladin's legacy is immense. In the East, he is remembered as the unifier, the hero who restored Jerusalem and embodied the ideals of a just Islamic ruler. But his story transcends cultural boundaries. In the West, even among his former enemies, he became a symbol of chivalry, a noble foe whose magnanimity and honor were praised by chroniclers and poets for centuries to come. He was a warrior who showed mercy, a conqueror who sought peace, and a sultan who lived with the humility of a scholar. He fought, not for power, but for faith, and in doing so, earned the respect of the world. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the life of one of history's most fascinating figures. If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next epic tale. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Saladin in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring history.